Today we're going to go over our method that I've found using our artificial feet here at Rocky Mountain Materials for anchoring and securing the wire. Now with these feet that we sell, they come with a pre-drilled hole, and you can see how easily that wire slides up and down that foot. And what we need to do is lock that wire in so that we don't have that foot rotating or moving up and down during the mounting process. I've got 14 gauge galvanized wire that I'll be using for this demonstration. You're going to need a drill with a drill bit, or you can use a Dremel with a cutting bit on the top. I know most people probably won't have a Dremel, so using a drill bit with your drill will work just fine. And then I've got hot glue, super glue, and borax to help lock things in. So to start off with the foot, we're just going to drill a small little channel going down the center of this middle foot, or this middle toe, and then connecting it to the pre-drilled hole there on the foot. Now we don't want to go very deep because we don't want to accidentally go through the foot and puncture a hole. So right there we have our channel that I drilled in. And I just wanted to clear out that opening right there. Now we need to predetermine on our wire how much length we need going into the mannequin and how much length we need going into our base. Once you determine that, you're going to make a bend, a very sharp bend, and then repeat the process again to make a zigzag shape. And then we will test fit our wire on the foot. And you can see that right there, that bend that we made in the wire and then the channel that we put into our bird foot hides that wire that we bent, but also is going to keep that wire from rotating back and forth. And then once we glue it in here and on the shaft of the foot, it's going to lock the wire in so it doesn't move up and down. So the next thing I like to do, this part's not necessary, but it's something I prefer just for extra security. I take my hot glue gun and I'm going to run it on the wire going up into the bottom of this foot. And I don't have to put a ton of hot glue on here. And then I'm going to run that hot glue right up in. We can cover the base of our wire there with the hot glue, and we can be done with the gluing if you prefer. If you wanted to strengthen this, we could do a little super glue and borax just to really lock in our joint there in that channel that we made. What the hot glue does, and why I prefer the hot glue over super glue on the wire going up into the shaft of the foot, is that hot glue gets just hot enough that it melts some of the plastic in that foot, and it really locks that wire into place and keeps it from wanting to move up and down. So you can see my wire's locked in pretty good. And then even the rotating part of this, there's very, very little rotating going on with that foot. So we could do some glue up top here if we wanted to. And like I said, we could do the super glue and borax method down here. I'll do that just for the demonstration of the video. If I hadn't have done a wad of glue right down in there, then I would go ahead and take my super glue and then we'll once again, like we do on a lot of the other feet, put some borax on, and that will allow our super glue to set up instantly. Now you can see I have a very sturdy anchoring point on that foot. We'll let that dry for a little bit, and at this point you can go ahead and paint the foot, and then when we're ready to anchor our foot into the base, if your foot's painted with pastels, usually you can heat this foot up and change the shape on it even after the foot's been painted. If you're painting with an airbrush, I haven't tested that method out yet, so you may have some cracking with the paint with the airbrush, so my advice would just be to shape the feet with heat before you're doing any of your painting. So let's move on to that step real quick. going to drill a small hole here in our rock. And I will loop the wire. Normally we wouldn't do this step until the bird's mounted. And then I just want to check back here, make sure that my wire is hidden. So I just pulled that down a little more. Now as you can see on this foot, we have an elevated foot that we need to bend down and shape over this rock. You can use either a hair dryer on high heat, you can do a heat gun on low heat, and we just want to heat this plastic up evenly so that we can get it to form. Now I'm moving my heater around different parts of the foot. I don't want to focus on just one area. Usually if the foot starts heating up too much, it'll start to turn yellow. So watch for color. The webbing always soften up first. So now you can see how flexible that foot is right there. Now if I wanted to lock that foot in, hold this down and lock it in immediately, if we could run this under cold water. Another thing I've done, I've grabbed a couple T-pins, put it into my base, and use that to help hold that foot down. We'll let that dry for our 5 or 10 minutes, or if we want to shoot some cold water on there, it'll lock that plastic in, and then you'll be able to pull the foot off of the base, do your normal painting, then put it back on and have the foot perfectly set where it needs to go. Hope this helps you out. We'll see you next time, and rock on.